I'm Miriam Boudreau with Mireaux Management Solutions. In this episode of our podcast, we sit down with Derek and Aida, project quality manager and quality manager, two accomplished managers who have been instrumental in ensuring their organization achieve and maintain ISO and API certification. Together, we'll dive into what it takes to keep their companies always audit ready and in compliance with ISO and API standards, how quality systems shape day-to-day operations in oil and gas manufacturing, and the role of quality managers in fostering a culture of continual improvement across all levels of the organization. Real life challenges and successes in balancing production pressure with uncompromising quality standards. Whether your company is already certified or just beginning in its ISO or API journey, this episode will provide practical insights straight from two leaders who live and breathe quality management every day. Hello, Derek and Aida.
Hi, Miriam.
Thank you for having us.
Wonderful. So good to have you here.
We're happy to be here and excited to share our experiences.
Yes, that's fantastic. So, Aida, I've known you for such a long time. Derek, I guess we were gladly introduced through our company. So we are very happy to have you both, also our clients. So I'd like to start with maybe sharing a little bit about your background, your career path, and what led you to quality management.
So for a little bit of background about myself, as far as my career path towards quality management, the current company that I'm with and the manufacturing company that I'm with has been the first step that I've taken into manufacturing at all.
Oh.
Prior to that, I was in residential remodeling with a family-owned business.
Really?
So there was a bit of a downturn in 2010 or 2011 timeframe. So I wanted to start looking for a different job, maybe a little bit more stable with a little bit more established company, not knowing anywhere where that may lead. So by a recommendation, I got referred to a company that was hiring for a dimensional inspector.
I see.
Did not know anything about manufacturing at all or what that entailed, or steel manufacturing is what we're currently into. But I knew how to measure and felt confident with that. So I felt confident in applying for that role. And I've stayed with that same company now for 13 years, growing as a dimensional inspector, starting out for the first 5 years. Then through new ownership after that, brought me in as one of the only quality team members to transition to the new ownership. So that was my first introduction into the quality assurance side of things. Prior to that, it's been strictly quality control, dimensional inspections, pass-fail, non-conformances, and that type of thing.
So you must have clicked.
Oh, I fell in love with manufacturing immediately. Absolutely. There's very fascinating seeing the number of processes and people of all sorts of different backgrounds and departments that all come together to actually realize the fulfillment and delivering of a component.
Yes.
There's everything from planning all the way through. So we do forgings at our facilities. So we supply steel forgings for the oil and gas industry primarily. Everything from the forging, the machining aspect, heat treatment to achieve desired mechanical properties, all of those interlocking things that are codependent on each other to finally realize that product development.
Yes,
it
it's
was
amazing,
fascinating.
right? And I feel the same way. It's like being in a production manufacturing environment, so many, facets, so many things that nowadays I feel a lot of people want to go with AI or any kind of, be at your computer type of work. And it's like there is so much out there, so much more than just, solo.
Yes.
Yeah. But Aida, so how about you? How did you get started in your journey? How did you fall in love with quality?
I started in the year 2000, actually working in manufacturing. So I was in human resources.
Okay.
And so it dealt more with the employee side of things, with what I liked of the similarities between HR and quality is that they have the similar behaviors. Like you are studying in HR, an employee behavior and the things that affect their productivity, how may that affect the day-to-day operations.
Yes.
And quality will be the the product itself and how it behaves and the number of mistakes that could happen to a product. And so those two things, I started in HR for about maybe 10 years, and then I started doing internal auditing while I was in human resources because I was being audited for training and competence.
I see. And they pulled you to be part of the team?
Yes, for the internal management system, yes.
I see. And that's how you fell in love?
Yes, yes. Then I make the switch, and I knew it was time for me to go into a different career. So with the company that Derek and I previously, the owner gave me the opportunity to go into quality.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yes.
This truly, I feel like quality is like a great area to be in, and it takes on people from different paths. Like if you are a manufacturing engineer, maybe you go into a specific area, or mechanical engineer, but quality, it could be any, background, but you have to love it. You have to click in order to stay there.
I think you have to understand also that what it takes to make something good, and you want to have the passion.
True.
I feel a little bit similar with Derek when he talks about starting with quality and dimensional inspection and how you see the perspective of being outside and actually seeing what you're doing. And it makes a big difference when you're not just in the office, right? You have to put the practicality in place with the quality management system.
And then see the great results, right? Well, as we talk about manufacturing, we know that there's also challenges and fighting fires. But what does a typical day look like if there's such a thing?
There's a lot of fires to put out on a given day. It's kind of unpredictable. You may come into it with a plan, but there's certainly all sorts of things that can come up in a given day, whether it be product, despite planning, doesn't go your way, testing failures that may need to be overcome, evaluated, and overcome with collaboration with the team, or certain processes, could be product related or could be processes that need to be further refined. Something either on the personnel side or the training aspect of it is not going according to plan, resulting in maybe some non-conformances. So there's trainings that need to happen. There's opportunities for training for both people and processes. So
do you find that, I'm sure you experience the same thing, do you find that annoying or actually exciting?
I think it's exciting too. I think for most people, we like to share our knowledge with employees, right? And I think for that part, I don't know if it's, what it does to one when you teach somebody and you transfer that knowledge to somebody. I think it's exciting. The fact is, like, as Derek mentioned, sometimes day-to-day activities where you have a non-conformity or you have something going on that you want to deliver a project and you have an issue with non-conformities and you have to deal with that first. And then one have to do a corrective action and you have to investigate. And so those things are like...
But I also feel like, it's having something different every day. Like it's not the same old, right?
Absolutely. The fun part about quality, at least from my perspective as it pertains to this, is you get to interact. We're like the one department and one process that spans the entirety of the manufacturing scope or your entire company, that touches all departments and all aspects. There's trainings that need to be integrated. There's documentation, procedures. You get to be an integral part in developing those procedures, getting the expertise from the specific department managers, putting their ideas into procedures, finding something that works for us on a practical day, whether that could be in one department or the next. All of the issues that arise, well, they come and they filter through the quality department. So like you said, your day could be unpredictable, but that's kind of the fun and the well-rounding aspect that brings it all together in the company.
That's really good, actually. Well said. And again, for people who are just starting, if you are thinking that you're like stuck in a certain area, this is what makes it fun. Now, it's not easy, right? There's headaches, but at the same time, you also enrich your careers, right?
Yes.
Because you're learning from different, I guess, aspects of the business. So your companies are ISO and API certified. What does that mean in practice in your operation? Is it all just like lip, thinking, or what does it really mean to be certified from your perspective?
I think it gives a credibility to the company that we have a discipline for implementing procedures, for teaching our employees, for abiding, I guess, by terms and requirements, right? I think it talks well about the company and allows us to have more business. Something that is in the wall, you can see it through audits, through external audits, customer audits.
I mean, have you guys seen your company grow or get more customers or contracts because of your certifications?
Yes, certainly.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Really?
ISO 9001 is almost the starting point.
Like the basics,
Yeah,
right? Like
exactly.
you gotta, if you're a manufacturer, you gotta have it. Right?
Yes, yes.
It helps potential customers have trust in your company as a starting point, like you said. It's more work on a customer to want to do business with you. If you're not certified, if you're not proven, they would have to come out, do a site audit, and build that trust from the ground up, wherever that may be. But if you have at least shown that you have your ISO 9001 standard or certificate and you're maintaining it, that gives the base level of trust, the initial trust for a potential customer.
I see. Now, what other certifications do you have? Because I know you guys are moving up on the food chain of certifications.
Right now, we are also aerospace and defense for AS 9100D.
Wow, that's amazing.
So in like Derek mentioned, it's just having that basic ISO. Even customers, they come to us to say, if you had API, you will get more business. Or if you have AS 9100, and so that's what drives the company, the potential customers, the potential opportunities, and for us will be more growth, right? Getting to know all these requirements and certifications and helping the company achieve those targets.
So there is a basics that ISO 9001 brings, and then you acquire more when you see potential business or really just if you want to get into other industries as well. So as far as how could you differentiate, let's say, AS 9100 from ISO 9001 and API? What do you think are the biggest differences?
So for me, in looking at those things, I guess one of the challenges will be the supplier requirements.
Okay.
So ISO gives you the basic guidelines, but API and AS 9100 tells you how to do it.
Wow, it goes way above,
more, right?
It asks for
where
more.
you're supposed to have a supplier evaluation, maybe a revaluation with ISO. With AS 9100 and API Q1 tells you, hey, you have to have a frequency defined. You have to evaluate the products. You have to keep the performance of the suppliers. You have to flow down those requirements and making sure that those flowing down requirements, if we require a job for machining, right?
Yes.
We're flowing down in a purchase order. It's not as simple as machine per drawing. Now you have to say in machine per drawing, and I need dimensional inspection reports. I need to make sure your equipment is calibrated. I need to make sure I have records of those things.
Yeah. So like ISO is the basics.
Yes.
And they don't prescribe a lot, but with the other standards, they prescribe a lot more, right?
Yeah, it's like ISO 9001 tells you that your company needs to do this. Your company needs to look at risk, or needs to.
But don't say much. Yeah.
Doesn't exactly mandate how you need to go about it or give you a roadmap to. Whereas AS 9100 and API very much say that they need specific.
Yeah, like API says you have to do a risk or MOC if the risk is I guess negative, or you have to do risk on time delivery and quality of product, and you need to do or seek the probability and the impact of the risk. Well, ISO is just like, you got to have a risk focus.
Assess the risk.
Yeah,
I'm sure you have it. And the way you do it, yes.
Yeah.
The way you do it is up to you. But, we can say in many ways, at least with API and AS 9100, it gives you that you have to be critical about it. You have to put in the right perspective of, okay, is this a major risk, minor risk? And you have to make sure what those are.
Yeah, and that's a good point. When we are helping a company, we have to strike a balance between, if you're ISO 9001, they don't require a lot, but we also don't want to put it in a way that it is so bad that if one day you're eyeing to be API, you have nothing. So you have something, right? And of course, with our software, we try to help them at least have good processes to go with that.
I think with your process, it allows more opportunity to do things the way a company wants to manage something. I think for that perspective, we've been very grateful for having a system like you have, because when we
with
have
QMS software,
yes, the web QMS software, because when we have run into an issue that we want to do it differently, or when we said, hey, maybe we want to control this area, this module this way, the support that we're given is always there, so.
Fantastic.
Yes, yes, we love web QMS, yes.
All right, that's great. What part of the certification, like audits, documentation, or training, like what do you think is the most challenging?
I think not as much challenging, but maybe overlooked. Is again the supplier evaluation perspective, because it's very basic in ISO, but API in Q1 it's almost like an additional resource where you have to gather objective evidence to show that a supplier is doing well. So with the scorecard, and you say, okay, this supplier is good. With ISO, you may be able to say, be a little bit more subjective on the matter. Where AS 9100 and API Q1, you have to show the data.
Show the receipts.
And so in web QMS, when we have the approved supplier list that you have in the software that we're using, web QMS has the supplier name. And when you click on the supplier name, and there's different tabs, and you're able to see the NCR tab, and then you're able to see all these NCRs that were generated by that supplier.
Yeah, you get a 360-degree view of a supplier, right?
Yes, you're able to see the corrective actions. You also have a measure there for on-time delivery, so we can enter the numbers of how they deliver that product.
So that helps you in your compliance, I guess.
Yes, because as it is seen, it is a little bit overlooked, because before the requirement was not there, before Q1 or AS, coming from an ISO perspective, the requirement of having all that data provided as objective evidence during audit wasn't always required, and now it is required. And having that data available, and it
helps you.
Yes, it's easier to manage. Where you don't need an additional person to measure all the data and gather the data together for you and analyze it.
And that's the idea. I mean, there's so many records that you need to keep up with the certification.
Yes.
That the easier the software makes it is the better, because you can concentrate on the product and making things better. How do you prepare your team for your external audits? Like, do you do anything special before the external audit so that you get to pass with less non-conformities, or ideally that you're always audit ready?
Well, the goal is to make sure that everybody's trained and have all of the tools at their disposal to accomplish their daily tasks. So it starts with training, starts with implementing your procedures, communicating your procedures and work instructions to the team, so that they are very familiar with their part of the process. I always tell, we try to have a meeting with most of our employees and our floor level employees, all the employees at our company before an external audit, just to remind them that you've been trained, you're aware of your procedures, you're aware of your process, you do it very well, you do it every day. You know more about your process than the auditor coming in. So it's okay to be nervous. Don't worry about being nervous. Don't worry about being able to recite your quality objectives word for word, or your quality policy word for word. An auditor's not necessarily looking for word recital. They're looking for your understanding of your process. And if you just convey that naturally, tell them what you do on a daily basis, and tell them what the quality management system means to you and how it interacts in your daily basis, that you use your forms, you're trying to do your job expediently and accurately. And that all falls into, I think when you communicate that to your employees, they start to get the picture of why a quality management system becomes effective. It's not just a quality department there to issue NCRs. They're not some police force. They're here to integrate everybody and that when they realize that their everyday job, they all play a part in the quality function.
That's great. And that's so true, because if you actually, if you don't tell them that you know more than anybody about your job and you're doing it well, if you get a question, just explain what you do. And, obviously you need to know your quality policy and your objectives, but sometimes they think they need to put on a pretty face and say something else. And it's like, no, you know your procedure, just explain that. That's great. So that's great to hear also. So you're putting on a training cap too. As a quality manager, you have to go and train the people as well, huh?
Yes.
That's very good. As another facet of being a quality manager. Now, of course, you yourselves have moved through different ranks. How do you encourage other people to get involved, or how do you know when somebody's ready to be part of quality? Because I'm sure a lot of our listeners will want to move up and be part of quality, or they see auditors and they feel like, well, how can I become an auditor? Or how can I become a quality manager? What would you suggest? Or how do you do it in your company?
I think we've done a set of classes for internal auditing, and you can see the talent and the interest the employees show. And so if you involve the employees during the internal auditing, I think we've had several there that have done fantastic. Yes, and they're naturals at it. They're like going and interviewing and really asking the question, showing interest. And we want to make sure that they know that while they're doing it, they're learning what they're asking, right? We may be so focused on our department, but maybe giving a production employee the opportunity to audit some of the contract reviews procedures, or maybe auditing an area that is unfamiliar to him, so that a lack of knowledge will allow him to ask more questions. Right. And at the same time, he as an auditor is acquiring more knowledge.
That's a good idea.
I think when I was moving into quality, that was for me the key element to say, what is UT? What is a UT procedure? Oh, it's ultrasonic testing. Okay. I was in HR. I was just more concerned with employees, the competence. And, an inspector, whether it was a dimensional inspector or whether it was a UT inspector or ND inspector, it was the same. To me, it was just an inspector. But there's different.
But as you audited, you actually got to learn about these processes.
Absolutely.
And then you moved into them.
Yes. And I see the same
in other people.
Results in other people. Yes. When they actually have to, especially like us, we have a big, I think it's a big size corporation where we have different plants. And so allowing our employees to visit other facilities to also acquire more knowledge and do those audits. They get to learn other facilities. And because as different divisions, we support each other, we get to know also the people you interviewing, you establish relationships, and then you get to work better as a company.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Anything you want to add?
Oh, you did every time I thought, well, that's a good point. I'll expand on that.
Sorry.
No, it was perfect. It's a great explanation.
Stop there.
No, we're doing so well.
On that concept, you've done most of our training on internal auditing. Right? On the concepts and the requirements for ISO and API Q1.
Hopefully that's sunk in on some people, right?
I think it has, yes, for sure.
So in your experience, what do you think? And I mean, this is the first company you started in manufacturing, and you've been in the forging industry also for a while, but you've seen suppliers. Do you know the difference between a company that just wants ISO for the sake of having a certificate on the wall versus one that really wants to live by the requirements, to improve?
I think you can tell the difference. I think you can.
You've seen suppliers maybe, or some other companies that.
Yeah, like you said, you see suppliers. You can tell when you first come to do a site visit. Generally, that facility is a little cleaner, a little bit more well organized. You see that individual workstations are pretty well taken care of. And then you see the interaction with employees as you go out to audit your different operators. You can tell that there's a level of communication that's passed down from the top down through the organization down to the floor level, that they're familiar with. They know their scope. They're familiar with it, and there's generally a passion that goes along with those operators.
Pride,
and there's a lot of pride in their work. And then, you can definitely see it both in the people and in the general facility. There's usually got a structure to it where the paperwork is very well documented. There's an order and a flow to things. Yes, you can tell with the people that very much take it to heart, and then those that may not.
Yeah. What do you see on those or don't?
Oh, you can run into a couple of things. Maybe the records aren't as good as they need to be. Maybe they may not have the good instructions out on the shop floor. Maybe they're not taking care of their calibration. They may have some tools that may be neglected, the inspection tools. So those types of things. Usually an indicator that they're not taking it as seriously.
Yes, I see. And this is what I tell people too, is sometimes if some companies are making money, but behind the scenes there is inefficiencies, or you don't see that pride, you don't see that a little bit higher standards of operation, right? And you can tell a company that is certified, that has regular audits, they gotta be on their game. But a company that is just doing the bare minimum, or that is not certified, maybe you don't see that level.
The transparency is a company that is certified is sharing information with us.
The other one's trying to hide it, right?
Very much.
Although they want the business, they're also interested in gaining our trust and making sure that we continuously are giving them, work and so on. And they know the importance of meeting that. We've seen companies where we go and audit, and sometimes the information is keeping from us. And we have to ask the same question different ways.
Because they know behind the scenes the house is not in order.
And the quality management system is very flexible with that. It doesn't a company does not have to be certified for us to qualify them. And so we try to be objective with asking the same questions with all our suppliers and making sure that machining suppliers get the same level of questionnaires and all across to make sure that the information, and typically the ones we deal with, they've given us the same information, they're very consistent and so on. Maybe you will see maybe a non-conformance here and there. That's why we have the supplier, the approved supplier list to show all that. And WebQMS where it shows all the NCRs and the corrective actions. But a company that is not, you can see that it's a little hard to get the information from. And we are in constant, hey, can I have the dimensional report?
Either they don't have it, or if they have it, they know it is not up to date, or something is happening.
See a lot of time, a lot of procedures. Do you have a procedure for I'm going to throw out non-conformances, for instance. Those procedures may be several years old and not exactly the current practice from what's currently happening. So their document control and their reevaluation to keep those procedures current may not be as well kept up with in those types of instances.
Yes, that's very, very true. And I feel like a company that is certified for the right reasons will probably strive to do better. Well, we know that you use WebQMS as part of your tools, but can you share an example of a time when a corrective actions or lessons learned turn into a big improvement for your operation? You recall one that you're like, wow, this, a winner here. Or maybe it happens all the time.
Let's just say, to me, on my experience, and this is before I joined this company, I want to say it didn't make a big difference on the improvement side of the company as a whole, but it made a difference to me and give me a different perspective on how do things we normally, when we do a corrective action, you used to seeing, maybe a 5 why method of evaluating the root cause. And very often we see that we stop at, when you get to the, what's the root cause of the problem? And we say sometimes operator error.
Yeah.
And we stop there, right? And we go on. And so I used to see that very often. And in my experience, one time we were doing this big flanges for a company and require a lot of drilling. And we were very, I want to say, give all the information to the employees to make sure they have the information they needed. This job is important. This is going to cost if you haven't.
I see. Okay, so
And so we have employees in the first shift doing those parts, and we were like on it.
Mhm.
And then the same part goes to the second shift, and there's an NCR. And we try to do a corrective action. This is when I was first make the switch, into from HR to quality,
wow.
trying to learn and doing all these things. And I'm thinking, what is it? And you stop at operator. Okay, well, that's the.
I see.
And I remember this employee coming to me saying, it's not my fault. Something is there. And we said, well, check it again. If it happens again, we'll see. But the next day, second shift, again, the same thing happens.
Wow.
And then you go and see that the employees saying the equipment may not have been, something was happening that when he was drilling the number 9 hole, the pattern was shifting. And so he needed some preventive maintenance and so on.
Yes, I see.
But the time that it takes to actually sit down to actually observe the process and looking at, is it really an operator error or is it, an equipment failure? Because normally with the corrective action, we say operator error and we stop there and we don't continue the investigation. So
it turned out to be an equipment issue.
No,
and, that's amazing.
And we were already looking at the employees costing us so much money on number 2 flange being scrap because the equipment will move at a certain number. And I remember that time not knowing anything about it. I'm trying to correct and trying to believe.
But the employee, and then it was nice that the employee came to you and tried to say, no, can you listen to me? Right, and you did. But in a normal situation, as we tell people is, for a corrective action to be done well, you have to spend time and you have to bring people from different areas that could have contributed to the cause because they might know something that you don't. Mm-hmm. And if you do it yourself, well, that's
exactly.
But if you do it with one person, maybe not so bad. But if you involve everybody, the operator, the engineer, the quality manager, the operations manager, maybe you'll get a little better, right?
And I think that's the purpose of doing that. Sometimes as quality managers, we know what may have been gone wrong. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we're like, okay, we know why or how it could happen.
Yeah, and the tendency is you just want to do it yourself.
The tendency, exactly. The tendency of us kind of knowing it happened before, maybe it did happen again the same way. Mm-hmm. And then, like you say, when you take the time to actually gathering the people in a corrective action and brainstorming what could have gone wrong is in listening to what they have to say and
that's when you really get to the root cause.
Yes,
that's what I always also tell people is for every NCR you cannot be doing corrective action, but when you do pick a corrective action to go through, you need to take your time, right? Because you want to do it well.
Yes, by that time you look at the NCR, you want to observe the behavior to be able to determine what will be a good root cause and not having the same issue.
Yeah.
I remember a good example that I'll give from a couple of years back. This was a while back. We had a lot of issues with instructions and basically the contract review process, instructions flowing down to the operators, errors or flow down requirements not being captured. Things get missed, parts get shipped. We had quite a number of those in a fairly short amount of time. So corrective action was launched, and it was a complete group effort. I mean, there was a process in place, and of course, with contract review, it can be time consuming. Everybody's got their own things to try to tackle. Sometimes you just don't have time. Everybody's in a hurry. Well, yes, that's the complaint. Now, how do we fix that? Yeah. What do we do? It was a big collaboration across all of the departments to make sure that all of those requirements are captured in some type of way. We ended up coming up with a pretty decent solution that worked for us. It may not work for everyone, but we developed a team of at least very familiar people, some very familiar people with most of the processes, and developed a team dedicated towards production planning and contract review. So we had people from our forge department and then the machining department build the orders and basically revamp our entire process.
Really?
And that drove a lot of improvement, but it was a lot of discussion, a lot of participation, a lot of good ideas.
It's like a project, actually.
Oh, very
right?
much so.
Yeah, I see. That's great. And this, well, first of all, it shows these concepts that ISO or API brings are put into practice. This is real. This happens on a daily basis. This is not just like we need a corrective action process, but not really get used. You guys are using it. But when you actually use it to the full extent, which a corrective action takes time, and if you put projects or people together to solve it, you're going to get great results, right? Yeah.
We're still using that model and concept
Wow.
all up until this day. And it's to date, we've not had those same issues.
Wow, that's great. And it takes not just the people time, their resources, but it also takes leadership to allow them to do that. Because leadership can say, what are you guys doing? Get back to your work.
Yes.
Just do it fast. But then you won't solve the problem. You'll get back to the same. You'll have the same problem again. Yeah. Very, very good example. So we know that we started this by saying there's a lot of firefighting too in operations in a manufacturing plant. It could be a service as well, a company. But how do you balance production pressures with maintaining strict quality standards?
Well, it's always inherently a struggle. You've got a deadline to meet with production. The customers are reliant on receiving a product by the expected date. And a lot of work needs to happen to be able to realize that, but it also needs to happen accurately. So I guess the benefit of trying to identify risk ahead of time as much as possible, we focus a lot on the planning side to try to anticipate risk, document those risks as best we can, try to foresee anything, use our previous records and expertise with that, try to incorporate that into our orders to try to eliminate questions down the road. So at least there's a good plan and a good foundation brought forward. So then if there's a problem down the production line, if there happens to be, well, then it's the quality department's responsibility to investigate quickly, help out in any way we can to identify the cause and work out a corrective action for that nonconformity, whether that's working with the customer to accept something that may be a deviation or document everything as best we can, complete the nonconformance process as quickly as we can, communicate with the production team. We have to have a pass or fail, so we're going to be there to help as much as we can to get them back on track. If we do need to remake a part, for instance, okay, well, here's why, here's our lessons learned. Let's execute this on the second go around, and we'll have a better outcome in the end.
So you gotta be expeditious. You gotta be on your toes. You can't be falling asleep because production needs you, right?
Yes.
Yeah. One thing I say sometimes is when things are going well, it's like quality nobody wants to hear. But when things are going wrong, it's like quality. That's your fault.
Yes, for sure.
Yes, you're doing your job if no one calls out your name right.
Yeah.
If you're the focal point, there's probably some problems that need to be addressed.
Yeah, and unfortunately, quality might take the lower end of the stick, but that shows that you guys are integral part of the process. So this is wonderful teachings actually onto the, or hearing the day-to-day really operations and things that happen. Now, what advice would you give to a company that is just starting on their AS9100 or API, journey?
I would say that if you're just starting out and you're wondering how to approach it, seek help, seek guidance, seek consultation. There's a lot of tools out there. I know you offer several programs to familiarize yourself. I myself took your internal auditor training class for 9001. That was a very, very good training tool. You can read the standard, you can have an understanding of it, but to have the practical one-on-one teaching that your classes provide, for instance, really gives a full picture to it, and then it really allows it to sink in. So any company that's starting out, I would advise seek consultation. There's a lot of tools out there that can really help.
Training, yeah. I mean, we have now a lot of YouTube videos, short videos that are free, but you can obviously come to one of our classes. But there are many other classes out there. It's funny because I play the electric guitar now.
Oh, wow.
Not great, but when I started looking in YouTube also. And I was kind of struggling. And then one day I said, I'm just going to go to Guitar Center and pay and get teaching. So I did it for a year.
Oh, wow.
And you go once a week and you have a teacher, an actual teacher that is, sometimes you just need that, especially when you're like starting from nothing. And guitar is such a difficult thing. And it's really helped me a lot. So now I do it at home about 30 minutes a day. And it's very nice, but I got the foundation of some training, because with YouTube it's a little odd, unless I will pay for somebody. Really, it's like you're recording, but it's so hard with the hand. But I mean, a great advice. Everything to me also starts with training. Get the foundational training, and then after that, maybe you can start going and implementing, right?
It can be intimidating starting out from scratch all by yourself. As a quality manager or as the one tasked in that company that is decided to go down that route and path. There's many tools. We were in an audit just this past week and during our internal audit, and talking to quality professionals, talking to auditors, just bouncing ideas off of very experienced quality personnel. It can open your eyes to problems that you may be dealing with in your company on a daily basis, but a nice outside perspective, it may just be the trigger to get you on the right path for it. So instead of being intimidated and trying to tackle it all on your own, there's so much good advice out there that can get you on the right path.
Wow, that's a really, you've hit an area that is, very, very important, especially, for example, you've been 13 years in the company. You've been in the, I guess, in the industry for like 20 plus years. So how do you learn from other companies and how they are doing things? The auditors bring a good perspective, but if you go to a training with somebody that is experienced and actually goes sees other companies, then that also brings you, good experience.
I remember going into quality and looking at the first ISO standard and trying to understand and interpret. What does this really mean? Not simply reading by sentence and understanding it. And I think that's the idea when you say you play the guitar, you seek the understanding of how to, the expert, and you practice it every day. And it's very similar to understanding the standard, because it's as a first time going to ISO is one thing, but APIQ1 that has
additional higher requirements,
aerospace as well. Yes. And then the interpretation is maybe different. So it's always good to seek the experience. Your company does very, very good in training, and we've sent most of our internal auditors there come to you for that, because we know that apart from getting the basics, they will get the understanding and they will get the scenarios. Explanation on how a thing will work. What does calibration mean? What does the interpretation and calibration is different, and it varies depending on which industry you are.
Yeah, we have our three-prong approach. Standard says how do you implement it and how you audit it. And by the way, we've launched our Mireaux University, which is amazing. It really puts a lot more resources into the attendees. So next time you want to send more people to class, they'll be able to go into the Mireaux University. But this is great to hear. I mean, being trained and staying in touch with other experts, that's definitely key to growing and learning. Nowadays, being loyal to a company is hard. You don't find those people. And I really value that. I mean, I admire you. Being such a long time with your companies is admirable. because nowadays people move a lot. So what do you think the future of quality management looks like the opportunities that might be in quality management in the oil and gas industries or aerospace industries?
It's definitely not going away. It can only grow. There's tremendous growth opportunity in both. In the oil and gas industry. There are several things, and especially in the aerospace industry.
We have seen an uptick on API Q2 and API Q1 as well. But we definitely see a lot more people interested. And I think it comes down from maybe the operators trying to elevate quality. And so they want their suppliers to also have a better quality. So I guess the whole industry is now recognizing we have to drive this, right? So I'm sure, do you see that maybe on your own customers wanting you to be API or AS9100 certified?
Yes, I think there's opportunity for that. Our customers, for the most part, they dictate the requirements. Like when they want to do business with a company, they want a company that is that we have the credibility to give them the product that they want. And it's always what we try to strive for is making the product right the first time, right? Making it right. And you mentioned a few minutes ago, it's hard to retain employees in quality, right? And having somebody from starting from the operator level, going into documentation, perhaps going into and elevating that knowledge, and then staying into quality. I think there's a lot of opportunity for that employees, for the company, because we benefit from someone who started maybe like me in HR or like Derek in dimensional inspection. We've stayed there because we liked it, because we want to know how the system works, and it's just more exciting for us to challenge.
So by the time you get to your positions, if you've been in different areas, you know a lot more, you understand the business, right? It gives you an edge.
Yeah. I mean, right now there's some questions in heat treat or production forging that I go to Derek all the time, and maybe 20 years ago you would have known that you wouldn't be he would be in this position right now, managing all the projects and with so much knowledge,
Oh, absolutely.
because he's done quality heat treating, shipping, forging, so he's learned that, and the opportunity for someone to come into quality.
There's an absolute demand for it. The industries are taking off, and then just being in a manufacturing environment, asking questions, developing knowledge, contributing where you can, offering up, becoming an internal auditor, all can put you down a path of success. And then just a general appreciation for and pride of work. It just kind of lends itself towards wanting to gravitate towards quality and making a difference for your company. So I mean, I think the opportunities for people to pursue a career path in quality are tremendous at the moment.
And we put practicality, and then we put the knowledge, getting support from somebody like WebQMS that has all the requirements that we ourselves don't have to apply, because they are already within the software. You already have corrective actions, you already have NCR. So when we give an employee access to WebQMS and they go into WebQMS, right now, generation, we're all on the phones, we're always looking at apps, and we're looking at...
I see. They have seen a fingertip.
Yes, and so going into WebQMS, I don't have to show somebody how to navigate. It's so easy to an auditor to say, show me your quality policy, and somebody will go and it says their quality policy, and you just click on it.
I see.
And so the ability of information through WebQMS, it allows them for us to be maybe provide less training on that end on telling they have the resource out of their fingertips, right? With they just typing and looking for a quality manual, a quality policy, a quality objectives, so everything is there.
The software makes it so simple for us to develop processes, store everything, have a one combined area for all of our documented information. Do we need a calibration record? We go there.
So how was your audit this week then? How do you think did it go well?
Oh, it went very well.
What did the auditor say? I know we're shifting a little bit to know about the software.
in the past, prior to having our own dedicated quality management software, if you need a form, you type out a Word document. If you need to keep track of something, you fire up an Excel spreadsheet. And Excel is a very powerful tool, and it's got its use, but it's not as intuitive to keep up with. It becomes very intensive to keep up with, and we've kept a calibration log on Excel sheets. It doesn't necessarily give you an alert that it needs to go out, so it's easy. It doesn't give you that level of oversight for the system. Having the software enables everybody within the quality department. It makes it gives you all the tools there at your disposal. You can even have templates, and it teaches you things. And then it's very easy to incorporate, even those that are apprehensive at first about getting into software systems. Oh no, I have to learn a whole new software system. I've just mastered how to log into Outlook. No, it's not that bad. You can log in, and once they get around to it, it's very easy to navigate. So like going back to your question about the auditor, it's nice. It's very easy now to have everything in one place. Like you said, like if I need my quality policy, it's right here. Can you show me your supplier list? It's right here. How's your calibration doing? Right here.
Oh, so the auditor loves it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. That's wonderful.
And it helps also that through the documentation, your system offers the ability to give access to the auditor.
Yes.
They're able to, they don't have to ask us for a master list of documents. They can see it, that is produced there. And records control, how long do you retain your records? You go into retention metrics. It shows up there for them. So
good. And we'll keep making updates and enhancements so that it makes your life easier as a quality manager.
Yes,
wonderful.
For sure.
If you can give one piece of advice to young professional entering quality management, I guess aside from getting training, do you have anything else that you would like to say?
It can be a very rewarding career path. If you're thinking about it at all, if you are inclined to work in a manufacturing department, or it could be any type of industry if it's got a quality department, but it can be a very rewarding career. At the end of the day, I tell the people that I work with, the things you produce are important in the real world. They support the entire infrastructure of the country when things go right, and they can catastrophically go wrong and really hurt somebody or affect lives. So having a knowledge and appreciation at the end of the day that you're building something, you're contributing to something larger than things, and knowing that you're doing the best and taking a role in quality of manufacturing the best thing that you can. That's got to be extremely rewarding. So if you're thinking about a career going towards quality, it can be extremely rewarding. Wow. Absolutely. Go ahead, pursue it.
Yes, very, very well said. And you can start, as an inspector and work your way up, and you're gonna find yourself one day like with a lot of knowledge and in a rewarding career.
Yes, for sure. I think getting involved. In all the areas that you can.
Yes, that's right. Accept it. When people give you a job, a project to do, don't be like, that's not part of my job description. Why do I have to do that? Instead, actually accept it, take it, do it. If they want you to be part of the auditing team, do it, take on it, get the training, because that will enhance and enrich you as a professional, but then put you in a path to quality management.
That's correct, yes.
Wonderful, very good. Thank you so much, Aida and Derek, for being here.
Thank you. We appreciate you having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, wonderful. And maybe we'll see you in another video.
Yes.
Hope so.
Thank you.
Thank you.